Hello, everyone, and welcome to your walkthrough for Microsoft Sway. Microsoft Sway is a really interesting, really cool tool coming out in the Microsoft Office suite for creating seamless, really easy to generate web page style presentations. So some things that I like about Microsoft Sway, as say compared to PowerPoint, is that the file size, it really helps kind of mitigate the file size for you. So everything that's generated into a Microsoft Sway, you get a shareable link, and then you can just pop that shareable link to somebody, and then they can open it kind of seamlessly. And then you'll see it creates a really nice and cool, interesting kind of like flowing, living document effect that is just perfect for data narratives that I think makes Sway the winner, in my opinion, for creating data narratives, interactive data narratives, hopefully that maybe PowerPoint won't quite fit those needs, right? So I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. It's incredibly simple. If you have a Microsoft Word document where you already have the images implanted in there, and we just want to also make sure that we're doing some kind of just minor kind of tweaking and prepping for generating our Microsoft Sway, because once we auto-generate the Sway, the program's going to try and guess exactly what we wanted to do and what we were attempting to do, so we can sort of help it out along the way. Right? So one thing that I would recommend doing is design your document based around sort of the subsection titles that you're going to want to have there, right? So you can create subsections by using these header functions, right? So if you type out, say, Objective 1, this document that I'm using is from a text mining midterm that I did in graduate school. And so objective, right? I wanted to organize it based on the objectives that were listed for the assignment. So Objective 1 here, I wanted to head that with heading number 1, and then the individual tasks underneath, I wanted to head here with heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, or heading 5, right? So that they would sort of pop on the screen. Once I do that, right, once I have them there, and once I have my individual visualizations, right, that you can see here are organized in the right places, then I can go ahead and I can transform this document. So you can see incredibly easy. I have some other kind of visualizations up here just so that we can sort of take a peek at those things. But once you're ready to transform, you just go up to this button here, the File button, click on it. You scroll right down here to Transform, right? And then you click on Transform, and then this little sort of subsection opens up, and it gives you all these different templates. Now you can scroll through the templates and choose which template that you want. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to go with the first one. What's really cool about Microsoft Sway is that it seamlessly translates to either web or mobile application. So it'll show you once the preview loads, but it might take a few minutes. Once the preview loads, it'll show you exactly what it will look like on a web page, or what it will look like on a mobile phone or a tablet, right? So I'm just going to click this one, and I'm going to click Transform right down here. Once I do that, it may take a moment or two as it uploads my document. Also, you may recognize that you'll be met with a login sequence, right, that you'll have to do. So you may have to log in through your username and password. I'm signed in already, right, through Seton Hall. And so I already have access to the Microsoft Office suite, so it's already going to go. So let's just see. And then once your Microsoft Sway loads, it's going to look like this, right? And just keep in mind, I didn't do anything to this, right? I didn't do anything to this Microsoft Sway. This is exactly what the computer sort of guessed, right? Or what the program sort of guessed that I would want this to look like. So there's going to be some wonky things, and I'm going to show you exactly how to kind of navigate those. One thing that you'll notice really quickly is that sometimes it takes a little while for some of the actual images to load, and here we go. So sometimes you just have to load it again, and it'll come through. So you'll notice here though that my images are in. It gives me a nice little kind of launching point here, and then I can kind of scroll through and see exactly what it did. So here's what I was talking about before, that the individual titles up here will be generated kind of based around the things that you either bold or the things that you set as sort of section section headers. So just be mindful of that going into it, because you might want to make certain things sectioned out. You might want other things to not pop as much, right? So that's something that you can kind of do in the Word document, so that when you transform, it's it generates, and you have to do less editing on the back end, which I'll kind of show you how to do in a second. So here you can see really cool, right, kind of sweeping generating document here, which is what I would like many of you to now do when you're practicing creating and generating data narratives that you're creating first in Microsoft Word, say as a document that you might send to an editor, or say as just a manuscript, right? Just a working manuscript that you can quickly edit. And then if you want to see how it looks with its kind of visual impact on the web, if you were to transform it into a blog, right? Or to a web page presentation, you can keep going back and forth between your Microsoft Word document and now Microsoft Sway, right? So that you can see, like, what is that visual appeal? Do I need more images in certain places? Should there be more emphasis on certain images? Is there large portions of text that are sort of hanging around without an image that could maybe use a data visualization placed in there that can sort of make things pop? This is kind of a good thing to pay attention to, because you'll notice here I had the entire network analysis here, but it's really kind of difficult to see what those connections are like. So you might want to start breaking them up, and that's what I did here, right? I broke them up. I wrote a little bit about where the strong points are, and I tried to guide the audience sort of through them. So you might want to start thinking, okay, in my Microsoft Word document, maybe I had the entire visualization just laid out, and I'm really depending on and counting on my reader to do a lot of the work, that I should really be doing. So this is your opportunity to recognize that when you see it here, and then correct it in the Microsoft Word document so that you can then transform it more seamlessly. Now, for many of you, you may transform a document and it may just look absolutely perfect, and then you're ready to go. But if you see things that are kind of funny and you want to try and play around with them to get them just right, you can go up here to this edit function. Once you're in edit mode, you'll notice that this is very much how Microsoft Sway functions, right? It functions based on these individual sort of boxes that you can open up. You can insert content, right? You can add a box. If you click on the individual rows, you'll see that the menus appear, and you can start adding things. If you have an image, you can change the focus point of the image. So you'll notice here that it'll show you what it looks like on a web page or on a phone, and you can start changing the focus points, and it will start actually showing you what's going on. So something to be mindful with this, though, is that these bubbles actually triangulate. So you have to click them away if you want it to focus just a single point. If you want to sort of triangulate a center, you can sort of do that. Or you can sort of focus on all those individual points, but it'll really just make the visualization smaller for you. But if you want to focus more on this section here, because that's where your data is actually being listed, you can click a focal point there. Again, this is kind of higher level editing stuff that you don't necessarily have to do unless your visualization's being sort of wonky. You can play with the text right in here, so you don't even actually have to go back to Microsoft Word to do the individual text tinkering. Again, I know that many of us are much more Microsoft Word native, so it might be easier for us to just go back there and to play with things. You can delete sections, you can add sections in, of course, and everything like that. This is the storyline, right? So notice up here, you're editing the storyline right now. You can actually also edit the design. And if you go over here to design, it'll show you again your sway, and you can go over to styles up here. And once you're in styles, you can actually choose, maybe you don't like the vertical scroll. Maybe you'd rather a horizontal scroll. You can switch it over to horizontal, and you can tinker with it there, and you can play with it. Again, you'll notice that for our document, vertical is way, way, way better. But it depends what type of document you have and what type of document Microsoft Sway creates. You can also just do traditional slides, right? If you want it to look and feel like a PowerPoint, you of course can do traditional slides and just scroll right through, right? And there's our policy map visualizations. Here's our Harry Potter visualizations coming up. And then you can change the font, you can change all sorts of things. This is a fun thing to do, but not very practical. You can remix, right? Which will just randomly select any kind of conglomeration of different design things that they have in Microsoft Sway, and it'll just kind of throw them together. It's kind of a funny and wonky thing to do. Again, not necessarily super practical. There are some higher level things that you can do in Microsoft Sway. You can create sways just from scratch, right? You can create new out here. So once you click on Sway up here, this is just the general Sway dashboard. So you can create new, you can start from a topic, which is really cool. Actually, the example down here of Islam, I was teaching a section on Islam, and I wanted to see if there was a Microsoft Sway presentation that would just be generated by Wikipedia that I could give to my students to give them a nice sort of, a nice just kind of quick synopsis, right? Or a quick overview. Let me see. I think they suggest dinosaurs on here. So let's see. Dinosaurs, and then you can create an outline. And there it is. Microsoft Sway, powered by Wikipedia. And then it gives you, right, all of this stuff. Again, it's not perfect, but it really does try to guess, right? And it does, I would say, a pretty good job of guessing sort of what you're looking for, right? And designing these things. So here's a dinosaur by Wikipedia, right? A la Wikipedia. And so now all you have to do is you can go in here, you can fill out the different pieces of information, but it gives you sort of a nice jumping off point and a really sort of nice starting point for you. Some of the first sways that I created, I actually just created them from scratch, and I ended up creating a template, right? My black and white template. Let me just show you that. So you can actually save any of the things that you create. You can save them as templates so that you don't have to start from scratch from the beginning. But I really like this kind of idea of having black text on a white background and then alternating with white text on a black background, and then scrolling horizontally, right? So I was teaching this was a digital literacy class, and I still love this template. I don't get to use it quite as often as perhaps I would like to, but Microsoft Sway is really great. And again, this is one of the higher level things that you would do. You wouldn't necessarily transform a Microsoft Word document into this. This is when you start getting into Sway, doing more of a deep dive and exploring around with it. And see, once I start editing this Sway, it's preparing my template for me. And then again, it's just the boxes. The only thing that's different is that you're going to have that horizontal black and white kind of contrast thing, and you can start filling in boxes. You can add images and all of the above. Now, once you are ready to share this with somebody, you go up here to the share function, and very easy, right? There's your link. It's right there. I would recommend, right, only invite people to view it, because you don't want people accidentally deleting content on your Sway, taking some of your content, right? Really just only invite them to view. Make sure that you pay close attention to up here. You're going to want to set it to anyone with a link. If the people are in your organization, fine, that's great, but you never know when you're going to want to send one of these things out, right, to somebody. And so it's just better, in my mind, you can blanket it, anyone with a link, and you can copy it to your clipboard right here. You can embed this also as well. You can embed them directly into SharePoint, actually, and then place them directly into a Teams course, which is a really cool thing to do. If you have a club or you have a course, right, that might demand something like that, you can, of course, do that in Microsoft Sway. So that's Microsoft Sway. Really simple and easy. Makes your life painfully easy. You really just have to transform it and to do little touch-ups on the back end, right, in Microsoft Sway. So good luck creating your data narratives. If you have any questions, just reach out.